Okay, so I'm too ashamed to show myself, so we're just gonna do the entire video over here. Okay, never mind. Okay, so I just wanted to just make the mention. Clearly, I have a different appearance than I normally do. So this last week, and for those of you who don't go to St. Mary's, we're doing something called the Lenten Challenge, and so same thing as last year, but they chose, so if they prayed 80,000 Hail Marys as a parish, then they would get to choose from one of the six liturgical colors. So technically rose, so you can see. Yeah, people were complaining. They said that wasn't rose. I don't know what rose is then, if that's not rose. But anyways, if they got to 80,000, they would get to choose one of the six colors, and they got to 100,000. So yeah, so it's a really amazing. I feel like so many miracles have just been happening in my life, you know. So if you really want Mary to be active, all you have to do is change your hair color. It's a piece of cake, and she'll bless you tremendously for it. So I wanted to just talk about a couple of things, like just this is a perfect time to talk about my relationship with Mary. She has had a profound impact on my salvation. Actually, I'd probably be damned if it wasn't for her. St. John Vianney was told during his confessions, people would come from all over the world. Literally, they would take a boat from North America all the way to, I think it was Ars, which I believe is in France, and to hear his confession. But anyway, Satan hated this guy, and he would actually beat the daylights out of him quite a bit. Like at night, he would come in and torment him and physically beat him. And at one point, a possessed woman walked into the confessional and said, if it wasn't St. John, if it wasn't for that dragon, I guess he was referring to St. Michael, and that, that B word, referring to Mary, I would have your soul. I would have had your soul. And so it goes to show you the power of Mary's intercession is huge in our life. If we don't have it, like, I don't know how I would be able to stand before the Lord. I mean, just like the grace that she carries, like her influence. I think it was Dominic Savio who said, the greatest consolation at my judgment was not all the things that I did well. He lived a like spotless life. I mean, he lived very pure and a very saintly life. But he said it was the Mother of God, her intercession for me, and her pleading on my behalf was the greatest of consolations. So if we have nothing else, we should have at least that. So where's that in the scriptures? So why do we as Catholics turn to Mary so often in the scriptures? And it can be found in one point, and we really don't need much more than that, right? Because you can get a lot from this particular story. But the wedding feast at Cana kind of tells us everything we need to know. So if you look at the story, they're at a party with the apostles, and Mary's there. And she turns to Jesus when the wine runs out, and she said, my son, they have no wine. And he said, what business is that for me or for you? My time has not yet come. And she responds by saying, do whatever he tells you. Okay, so let's break that down. So essentially, first of all, focus on the reality that Jesus has a plan. So Jesus does exactly what the Father tells him to, as perfect obedience through his whole life. And so, unless he was joking, unless he was not telling the truth there, what we have to say is that the Father's will at that moment was for Jesus not to do the miracle, right? My time has not yet come, okay? And according to Jesus, that he would do only what he saw the Father do. And that's perfectly from the scriptures, perfectly. The only exception that is made in the scriptures, the only time Jesus makes an exception is at this instance. The phone's going off, just ignore that. But that is the reality, is that is the impact of Mary's plea is so profound that he changes his plan. So not that he goes against God the Father, but God the Father must have then said, obey your mother. And then from that, then you have this profound miracle, the first miracle, okay, which is also super significant. But let's focus really quick on one last point. This gives us an idea of Mary's heart, okay? So Mary's the mother of the living. That's what we call her. When Jesus was dying on the cross, with his dying breath, one of the very last things he says, John, behold your mother, behold your son. And so the very last thing that he does for us is he right before he gives his very life, his dying breaths, he gives us his mother. And so I think that's just an indicator, like, pay attention to that, right? This is a big deal because I'm taking my last breaths here. But sorry, I got sidetracked. Going back to Mary, her heart is revealed. She is very moved by the situation. She's very troubled interiorly because they have no wine. But it's not like a big deal, right? I wouldn't throw off God's entire plan for something like that. I wouldn't say, it's not like the world's about to end or there's a nuclear bomb which is about to go off. This is a very small thing. And so it gives us an insight that Mary cares about our lives, like every small detail in our lives, she cares about. And the mystics, they say that. I mean, that's been revealed to the saints, but you can see it in scriptures. Like, she cares deeply about us. And even the small things, she wants to be our mother. She wants to take care of us. She wants to care for us. And I tell you what, these last 2 weeks have been awesome. I mean, probably 3 weeks. I've been asking Mary for everything. If there's the tiniest sliver of anxiety, I say, Mary, I'm just going to give this to you. And I'm just going to let you take care of it. And then I try to just kind of go about my day peacefully and then recognize, she took care of the last 60 things. So, maybe I'm pretty confident, I'm pretty peaceful. And then within the hour, most of the time, actually by the end of the day, the problem is solved perfectly, so beautifully that it's oh, wow, that was better than I could have done in a million years. And so the reality is that is her relationship with us, right? So when we go to her, not that we shouldn't talk to Jesus, right? But when we go to her, she comes with us to the Father. And we can see pretty clearly that there's something going on here, right? Mary, when God the Father, I'm just kind of going outside here, but when Jesus changes his focus of obedience to the Father, to the Mother, whoa, we should highlight that. We should really highlight that because that's a big deal. Last story, when I was having my conversion, it was really crazy. So I was in confession, I'll tell you another time. But boom, I just got filled with the Holy Spirit. And that was my absolution. I was living a very sinful life, and the Lord just brought me back. I was dead, and I was resurrected spiritually. It was amazing. But then for 2 months, I'd have this experience consistently. So I was like, okay, well, I want to start living this faith. I don't really know, but this is really awesome. I've been looking for this kind of happiness. And then I started to pray the Hail Mary because that was all I knew. So I'd wake up the next day and I'd pray 10 Hail Marys. And every Hail Mary, I felt like the happiness was growing and growing and growing and growing until the 10th when I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's just start the day. And I just talked to everybody. I made 1,000 friends. It was so cool. And then for 2 months, I was just receiving this spiritual gift just because I needed it, because I was so attached to a life of sin. And even and separating myself from sexual sins, all that, I needed profound grace, profound. And Our Lady was showering me with graces. And so that's kind of what I think is open to all of us, right? Let's say you haven't been to church in 30 years or whatever, wherever you are. Mary wants to communicate to us that a life with God is fuller, it's more satisfying, it's more beautiful than even anything else that's offered to us. The saints have all said it, and they're not just saying it, they experience it, right? And so I wouldn't do this unless either, number one, I'm crazy, or I found something really awesome and worth giving my life for. So that's the message. I wrote down some stuff here. Very last thing. So there's something called the miraculous medal. If you don't have one, get one. And if you have one but it's not blue, get the blue one. Not that it matters, but people seem to say, whoa, what is that? And then they want one, and then you can give it to them. but Our Lady appeared to St. Catherine Labouré. She said, anyone who wears this around the neck especially receives tremendous graces. And if they have more confidence in me, if they have confidence in me, they will receive signal graces. And so Our Lady will provide you with little miracles in your life. Please try it. Give her the smallest little things in your life and then wait till the end of the day and then go back and say, did that get taken care of? And for the last 3 weeks, it is completely the case. Every single time, it has not failed me. Mary has pulled through. I think she's been doing it my whole life, but I always ask her and then I forget that she does it and then I'm just worrying about the next thing. I'm looking forward into the future as opposed to backwards into the rear view mirror and saying, oh wait, she did that, she did that, she did that. So she'll probably take care of the next things. Okay, so that is my spiel on Mary. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, send me an email and God bless you. Have a great rest of the day.